Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Baban. Oh, where's the unit outline? Sorry. Yeah. My name is Baban. I'm lecturer in School of Accounting. My background, especially in financial accounting and preparing of financial statements for public listed firms. And I'll be your tutor, lecturer and tutor this semester for this unit, because the main lecturer which was left is Liam. She went for sabbatical leave. I taught this unit in 2017. The name was a bit different. It was, I think, quantitative analysis for accounting, but the material is the same. If some of you guys attended some classes before, the material totally same. Today we're gonna just have a quick review about the unit outline. So I will explain you some important points about the assessments. You have 3 assessments, and about the weekly seminar and workshop. The study. You have one. So let's see. All right. So the material is exactly the same as I said with the last semester you attended before. There are some important instructions you have to follow. I'll explain it to you. Business statistics. It's purely statistics, but we put some accounting and business concepts to make it an important for you guys as accountant or as a financial analyst. As you know, we have, I think some of you guys have already reviewed the unit outline. Just because we have every day, every week, I have 2 classes, by the way. Just let me explain to you if some of you guys want to attend the evening one. I have 1 class on Tuesday, because it's just the beginning of the semester, I need to remember. We have 1 class on Tuesday from 6 to 9. And another one, that one was Thursday today, from 1 to 4. Please feel free to attend any one of these. If you have some circumstances, come down to this one. For weekly seminar and workshop, normally we have the first hour is a tutor or tutorial for to address the questions for previous seminar. Like, for example, today we have descriptive statistics. We're going to have 3 hours, or less than 3 hours, to explain the descriptive statistics, definitions, and some important concepts. Next week, the first hour will be allocated to address the tutorial question about descriptive statistics for today or this week topic, right? Or this model. So, as I told you, please feel free to attend any of these. But it's very important to attend the seminar and the tutorial, because the final question, final exam, some of mid-semester test questions will be allocated from the tutorial question and solution. So I will give you some hints about it. I know the material of this unit is too heavy for you guys. I know some of you guys have some job, but I'll try to make it as much as I can. I'll make it very easy for you. As accountant, I will just concentrate on some important topics that will be very important for us to, whether we are going to work as a professional accountant or an academic field. So, just for the unit outline today, important points to explain to you guys in here. There is the book that I think I already sent an email for you guys regarding the textbook. You have, I'm not saying you have, but it's better to buy it because our exam, the mid-semester test and final exam is open book. In addition, you are allowed to bring one paper sheets. You can write some important notes, formulas that will help you to address the questions during this semester test or final exam. So in addition, there is some appendixes at the end of the book, if some of you guys have the book, that includes the tables to address or to find the percentage of the degree of freedom, later this advanced topic, is a week 7 or week 6, or t-value, Bison test, Bison already dropped from the topics. We have binomial test, distributions, so we need these appendixes to help us to address the question during this semester test or final exam. That's the book. You need to buy it. Another thing, let me just, normally, as you know, we have 3 main assessments. The first one is the mid-semester test. Please just listen carefully to this important point. With mid-semester test, I will upload the mock exam on an example for the exam that will be allocated in mid-semester test. This one will represent 25% of your total grade. The due date will be on week 7, Saturday, 13th of April, 2019. Please highlight it. It will be at 9:30. You have 90 minutes to address the question. 10 minutes for reading time. I'll give you 10 minutes reading time. And we have 80 minutes to address the rest of the question. The mid-semester test, actually, normally we have 30 questions. 16 of these 30 questions will cover the theoretical concepts, like definitions, what does it mean, something like that. But it will be MCQ, multiple choice questions. Just depends on your knowledge on reading some concepts. And also some concepts from these theoretical parts will be allocated from our weekly seminar or tutorial. Another rest of questions will be, it will be also as it's an empirical questions, but also MCQ. But you need to do some calculation to find the right answer. That's mid-semester test. You need to have, sorry, can I borrow? Yeah. You need to have a scientific calculator. Because, for example, today, we're going to talk about the descriptive statistics, the central location measurements. So maybe you have one question in the semester test, cover the central location measurements, 3 main measurements. So you don't have time to calculate the mean and median, blah, 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 other, just independently, or everyone, separately. So if you have this scientific calculator, you just Google or you have the manual on how to use this calculator, and just put the numbers from this question and press one button, or stat function they call it. It will give you the value of standard mean, standard deviation, variance, and other sort of things. Google it, or go to YouTube and put the model of the scientific calculator, and they will give you some heaps of information and video on how to use it, and use it to find the central location measurements and variability measurements at one time, rather than wasting time and reading some stuff in the book to find or how to calculate, say, the formula. It's too hard. It's MCQ question, right? So that's my advice to you. That's a mid-semester test. Do you have any question about it? Clear? It will be very easy. Promise. The business report, this is an assignment. Before I explain the business report for you guys, let me just explain one thing. Today we're going to address the central location measurements, descriptive statistics in total. Some of these calculations on how to use Excel, because we're going to use Excel as a software during our journey this semester. I will give you some hints today. This will be, you have to use it to address the business report questions. Because in business report, I'll explain to you. It's not allowed, but friendly, I will explain to you. I will bring some story from the current market cases, for example. Some scandal for one company or two or group of companies, right? And I will ask you 3 questions. 3 or 4 questions. And I will explain you the rest of stuff regarding how to calculate, how to do the. And I will also provide you with the Excel sheet. It includes the data from these companies. So you follow the procedures that I will give it to you today to address the questions. For example, I ask you to do histogram. How to do histogram? You have to download the data, analysis on Excel online, and do some structures, tick for labels, how to download this data to histogram. So some sort of, I will explain it to you in details today. So they will help you to address the questions of business report. So after you finish the business report, by the way, I already put the question of business report. It's very easy, very clear, nothing from out of our knowledge, or everyone can address it. But please, avoid to copy anything from your friend or from previous, the assignments or staff business reports or from Google or from internet, because you have to submit your business report through Turnitin. Otherwise, it will be a big problem. It's out of my control. I'm here to help everyone. I'm not a too strict person, very easy. You can ask me anything if you have any issue, but avoid to do any plagiarism, because it's a big plagiarism, it will be big trouble for you. So the unit, I will make it very easy for you, because it's my field, and the questions will be from our daily, our weekly explanations and discussions. So it will be very easy. So please avoid this sort of steps. That's the business report. So you have to address questions. But normally, when I ask you any question in business report, please note down this information. You have to define the parameter of interest, for example. For example, I provide you with 2 or 3 columns of data. When I ask you a question, you have to say, this is a chi-square, independent, the variable 1 equal to blah, variable 2, define the hypothesis. So I will tell you how to address it. But normally, when you address any issue during our journey this semester, even if not in business report, in other classes or tutorials, you have to define the parameter of interest, because it will help you to address the question carefully. When you define dependent or independent question, dependent on independent variables, which sort of, you're going to use z-score, chi-square, ANOVA, a lot of. So once you define, read the question and define the parameters of interest, the main keys. It's a sample or a population sort of stuff. So because it will allocate a lot of marks in my business report. This sort of define the parameters of interest. Right? That's about business report. Do you have any question about it? I will provide, by the way, for all of these 3 assessments, I will provide some additional information about the exam. Maybe 2 weeks or 8 days or 10 days before the exam. So I will help you to understand the structure and some other sort of important things. So it will be released couple of weeks ago, before the deadline or due date. So the submission will be on Monday 13th. of May 2019 at 10 a.m. So, by the way, there is a lot of information attached in here. See, this is the explanation for mid-semester test. The second one here, explanations for a business report. See, all clear in here. And the third one will be the final exam. So it will be scheduled later and they will let you know on Blackboard. Please remember to visit your Blackboard regularly. Because we always upload some data or release some information for you guys to help you to address and to understand the structure of exams or any other sort of thing. So please visit your Blackboard regularly. Within the exam, if some of you guys can't do the exam, have some special consideration, a bit sick, you can bring some medical certificate, or come to see me because I'm the unit coordinator this semester. So any special consideration, don't be patient. Please come and ask me if you have any, because we have deferred exam. You can defer the exam or mid-semester test or final. But the business report is too strict because we have a couple of weeks to do it. So, but for mid-semester test, if you can't do it, if you have some special circumstances, condition, please come ask me. I'll help you with that. If you need to do some medical certificate, give some permission, I will help you to do the deferred. Because I already put the question for the main and deferred for all exams. We don't have deferred for business report because that's for MCQ, mid-semester test, and final exam. For consultation, I already put the consultation times on Blackboard and the Blackboard contacts. If you go to Blackboard, start button. You don't want to lose any moment. So let's save time. So that's the final exam. To pass all the units, you have to attend all the assessments, please. Otherwise, you are not going to pass. So you are required to attend all. You have to attend all, and please highlight these important points. This is some additional information about the assignments, plagiarism stuff, research integrity. If you have any clash with other units, please come and see me. Because some of you guys have, because I will be the UC for this unit and tutor for other units, also for postgrad students, accounting 5014 for Friday class. That's for internal, yeah. So that's the contact. That's the consultation time in here. Times. Please come and see me if you have any question. If you need some circumstances and you can't come during Thursday or Friday, please email me or call me on this contact number. I already put it, 089-266-1109. If you have some special, you can't attend, I will be in on all the days except Monday because it's my research day. I work from home. So please email me or call me if you need some special consideration or need to have some consultation out of these 2 days or other days on Tuesday or Thursday or Wednesday, right? If I'm not in sometimes or you have some problem, contact with Evelyn Indra. She's administrative staff or teaching support staff, so you can ask her any question and she can call me on my mobile. Unit models available on here. Learning models will be released. Oh, it's already released, I think, all. Maybe for you, just will be weekly. So the solution of tutorial, for example, this week we have tutorial and seminar. So the solution of tutorial will be released on a Blackboard in the next Friday. So for example, it will be released tomorrow. But because we don't have a tutorial question or class today, so we'll start from next week. First hour for tutorial question, and the rest of 2 hours for seminar for the topic. So again, if you don't understand something because the tutorial question is very important. For final exam, most of the tutorial question will be allocated similar to the tutorial questions, because it will be the abstract or for the all the topic. Because always we have a couple of slides today per seminar, but we will just concentrate on some important things that is important. And the final exam, also there is mock exam. By the way, let me tell you one thing about the final exam. The final exam also, it's open book, and you are allowed to bring a paper sheets of notes. You can add some stuff, and you don't need to remember any formula. You can put it on the sheet. It's 2 pages. You can put a lot of stuff, and also you can use your book, but the book is wasting time. What I will do, I will release the mock exam for final exam. It will be 6 questions plus 1 small question for theoretical, but the rest of questions, the 6, will be the empirical question. It will be too similar to the mock exam questions. So please note that one. Because I know, if you don't know the formula on how to address, that will be a big problem for you. So try to highlight or to concentrate on the important stuff, formulas. Put it in the paper sheet during your reading. Don't let everything to the end of exam day or the day before the exam. So try to review your class or seminar slides and tutorial question regularly. And don't leave it. It will be too much for you at the end of the period. So if you are just review it regularly, it will be too easy for you to address. That's the unit models. So I think assessment, under assessment, I will add some mid-semester under assessment. Will be heaps of information. It will be clear for me, but not for you, because still have time. So for mock exam, we have question and solution, we have revision, we have MST information. So it will be ready for you maybe within next couple of, maybe next week or week after, I think. So, but it's because I'm the UC, everything is available for me. So, but don't worry, everything will be easy. But please review your slides and tutorial question and solution. Try to demonstrate, understand why this and this, why you need for statistics and stuff, of like this sort of things. Right? What else? So the grades for the, I probably always, because I've marked the exams and business report for this unit since 2017. So I always try to mark the exam mid-semester test. It will be very easy because it's multiple choice questions. But for the business report, you have 16 pages. You have to do a lot of things. It will take time to address or to solve all the question or to mark it. So, but I will be ready a couple of days after your submission. So the grades or marks. So under my grade in here. Right? So what else? So the exam for the sponsor. Reference style. If we need the references in mid-semester test, you have to use the Chicago EndNote or reference style. So if you need any problem, again, this is additional thing. You need any problem with the referencing style or EndNote, please come and see me. I will help you with it. Or you can just go to the library website, Curtin Library website, and there is a heaps of information uploaded on PDF files all includes all references. You want to use Chicago or other, but for our unit, maybe we're going to use Chicago. But I think I'm not asking you to provide any reference, guys, because I think we don't need it. But if someone needs it for other purposes, please come and see me. I'll help you too. I'll explain you how to export or import data or make it an reference style or use any sort of this styles. But Chicago is our reference. But we don't need it because I'm not asking to read. Because we are talking about some calculations. No need to read external resources. Our book is enough for us. About bits of information to learn. So no need, I think, for references. But in case you need, just come and see me. Academic integrity and staff. Please make sure to enroll and staff. Don't forget to evaluate at the end of semester. Say what you want to say. No problem. Statistics has to be bad. Please tick in front of your name. That's a program calendar. So the first 4 topics will be allocated in our mid-semester test. In here, semester details will be available on 11th of March. The information under assessment in the blackboard in here, that one. It will be assessment, that one. The exam information will be allocated on or uploaded on 11th of March. The first 4 topic will be our mid-semester test material. Then after that, the exam will be allocated on 13th of March at 9:30 in the morning. The exam venue will be 408, the big one. I think most of you guys have done some exams in this venue. So please try to come 20 minutes before. So you are 10 minutes before. You are allowed to enter to the exam venue 10 minutes before, because to do summary, you have 30 questions and you have to save time. Don't come a bit late, so that will affect your answering to cover all the questions. So that's the information we're going to address. We're going to have introduction to statistics and descriptive statistics. We have probability. We have distribution of probability. We have statistical inference, staff sampling. We have hypothesis testing. We have ANOVA. We have a lot of stuff to do this semester. But don't worry. We'll make it very easy, and I'm sure most of you guys will get a high grade. That's a good news to know, right? Good things to know. So, but it needs some. You still need to review your weekly slides and some important stuff and examples in the book, and also the tutorial questions. Do you have any question about unit outline? Everything is clear. I make it very clear for you guys. Any question? All right, so it's time to start. So so don't hesitate to email me or call me if you have any. This is very important for you guys. I want you to be more comfortable, and if you have any question about the material, something you don't understand, just come and see me. During the tutorial, the seminar, I'll try to explain everything in details, and I always have 15 or 20 minutes at the end of each semester seminar to let you, if you have any question, just come and see me at the end of each seminar, right? So So today, I say welcome, right? As I told you, this point, we have 2-hour seminar and 1 hour for tutorial. We have lecture slides and we have tutorial solution. Uploaded following to the Friday from every week. The assessment, as I said to you, 3 practice questions, very important. And the mock exam will be available on Blackboard a couple of days before the tasks or assessments. So some important information for you guys. As accountants, sometimes someone will say, what we need for statistics. Now, we still need for statistics because if your manager asks you to provide him with some summary about the expenses, if you're an editor, for example, you have to do some calculation to give him descriptive statistics about the expenses, about different variables, about the period of it takes to prepare the financial reports, for example. So we still need for statistics. So we give him the mean. If you are auditing some numerical data or quantitative data, or you provide him with other sort of things, that will give him a full, a big story about the data that you are reported to him. So this is just simple questions, or just an example on how to, on the importance of the statistics in accounting. And now we have a lot of issues with the taxpayer and stuff. So if you are working in TFO, for example, you need your manager, or you are working in private businesses, your manager asks you, for example, to check or to report the time takes for per editor or to audit, for example, one financial report per firm and see, compare it with other editors or other stuff like to report they paid additional tax and stuff. So still we need to know how to calculate. That's the main things we are going to do today to cover the descriptive statistics. Even in research, as accountant, in academic life, if you read any paper in accounting journals, because you're master's students, right? Maybe some of you guys you want to do PhD in accounting, right? So when you first, you're gonna just demonstrate your idea and prepare a proposal and stuff, then stop. Later, when you've done the idea, become clear, link it to the theories. Now the idea said, now you have to move on starting collecting data, for example. When you start collecting data, you have a couple of directions to collect data. Are you going to collect data, quantitative data, which is the numbers, real numbers, like firm expenses, like leverage, age, debit, assets, liabilities, right? Income, cash flow, cash from investment, cash from operations, cash from financing, that's a cash flow items. So after collecting all of these data as a quantitative data, real numbers, you're gonna start analyzing. When you start analyzing, the first step to do with the analysis, you have to report your data. Descriptive statistics, our topic today. Because the descriptive statistics will give a full story about your data. What's the mean of all variables? What's the standard deviation of all variables? What's the mood? What's the, what's the median? What's the quantiles, percentiles? So a full story about that with heaps of data, 1,000 of observations for different years, panel and cross-sectional, but you will report it in some small table, just using Excel software or any other software here. But within our unit, we're going to use Excel. And I will show you how to do it. That's the importance of studying statistics in accounting. So today we're gonna have a chapter 1, chapter 2 types of, area of statistics, type of data, graphical descriptive statistics or techniques, and measurement of central locations, variability, measurement of variability, and how to link it to the central locations and measurement of relative standing and box plots. All right? A lot of words, but it will be very easy. So, we have the area of statistics and type of data. Descriptive statistics. When we talk about descriptive statistics, that means we talk about quantitative or interval data. What sort of quantitative we have? For example, we have numerical observations, real numbers, or high weight value are real numbers. We're not talking about questions about yes or no. We're not talking about question about the number of male and female inside the class. No, we're talking about the real numbers. For example, I'm collecting data about, and now really I'm collecting data for Australian financial firms, for example. Aussie financial firms, right? I have, what is the main data I collect now, for example? I have, for example, Commonwealth Bank, right? I have NZ, right? They call it NIZ? ANZ, right? ANZ. I have the one with the scandal, AMP, right? They have some problem, AMP, for example. And to the rest of firms. I have, for example, 105 firms. 105. All of, what sort of variables I need? I need total assets. Assets. It will be numbers. 85.3, for example. Or here, for example, 75. It depends on the size of the firm. So I have total debts, for example. I have leverage, for example. I have any other sort of variables. I have total liabilities, total equity, right? That's a accounting, that's a real numbers, right? It's not a questionnaire whether you're going to have collect data about the opinion of a group of pupils about their opinion or the action of some sort of political decision, for example. So whether they are going to agree or strongly agree or not agree or neither, right? Neither agree or not disagree, right? So they can mark a scale. So that's a quantitative data. When I collected the data in total in here, the numbers for total liability, total assets, total other sort of numbers, intangible assets, ROA, return on assets, ROE, return on equity. That's real numbers. So at the end, I have to use the software to report my data. How am I going to report it? I have to use descriptive statistics. If I have quantitative data, which is that one, real numbers, I have to use descriptive statistics, right? That's the first type of statistics, area of statistics, and first type of data. The second one will be the inferential statistics. We have qualitative data. That's a categorical, they call it. Values are arbitrary names by or of categories with no orders, like the gender of students inside the class, male and female. Very easy, right? So that's the But there is no order with this type of qualitative or nominal data. The third type of data we have in here, ranked or ordinal data. This is very important in marketing studies. By the way, in accounting, most probably we use descriptive as the first one. Because as accountants, we talk about numbers. If you work as in tax office, for example, you are not going to take the opinion of people about some sort of decisions or habits or products in the market. No, you talk about the real numbers, right? How much you spend during the year, how much you get in income. So you compare which sort of expenses that will deduct your tax, right? For example, or increase some sort of real numbers. The first one, quantitative. So we're going to study the central measurement of quantitative study and descriptive statistics. So the last one, the ranked or ordinal data, we talk about the categorical data with order. You have to order it. How? Because later when we talk about the validation or talk about the variability of this measurement, we're going to see which sort of variable measurement suitable for this sort of descriptive statistics, or rather for the ranked data or qualitative or quantitative. So in here, like for example, your satisfaction with a course, age, or any other of categories. So it has to be in order. Like when you take an opinion of some group of people about the shape of this water bottle or size, for example, or the quality of the water inside this bottle. So you will give them 5 options. Happy, for example, strongly agree with these colors available in here, for example. This strongly agree or agree, neither agree or nor disagree, disagree or strongly disagree. 5 different categories. And later, for example, you target 20 person and pair, for example. You take your example, and then later when you collect the questionnaire or their opinion, you're gonna clean it and put it in one Excel sheet and see with which category in here you sort the categories in order from strongly agree to this strongly disagree order, right? And then you clean and report it using any descriptive statistics way to that you see it's suitable to report some sort of data. We have a lot of examples. It will be a bit clear for you guys. So measurement of central location. We have the mean and median and mood. That's the most important 3 measurement of central location in accounting. If you read any accounting papers or reports, professional reports made by professional agencies, because it's not just academic. We didn't just use the statistics in academic, no. KPMG, that's Big Four audits, and other rest of audit companies, Big Four, they also they have their reports, and they have a lot of statistics. And you can see the mean and median and or other related statistical measurements reported by them in their professional reports. So this is all theoretical stuff about the statistics, but I will start explaining you the most important things that are related to our models. The first central measurement measurement of statistics, we have the mean. What does it mean by the mean? How to measure the mean? You can measure the mean by some of measurements, xi, and divided by the number of measurements. From now on, very important point, from now on, you have to differentiate between the sample size. If your data is as a sample, 20 observation, 30 observation, or your data is a population. Because the measurement of mean, if you're going to measure the mean for sample, you're going to use X bar. X bar, right? And you're going to have the lowercase of n. But if your data is a population, what are you going to use? Minimu, right? Minimu. And you're going to use uppercase n. That's the differences between the measurement. Most probably, in the real life, they use a sample. Why they use sample? Because if you're going to do a study about the population, it will take years and will cost you a lot of money. You can't take of the opinion of Australian pupils who lives in WA, not WA is small, who lives in Melbourne, for example, their opinion about some sort of product or some sort of things. It's too hard. It will cost you a lot of money. You can't collect data for Australian financial firms from 1980 and 1950 till 2018. It will cost you a lot of money, and you need a lot of people to collect this data. But what we do normally, we collect data as in we collect a sample, like top 100 firms listed in ACCT. See the example. Top 100 firms listed in ACCT from 2010 to 2018. 1,500 observation, 2 months, you finish collecting data. That's a sample. This sample you can reflect, or it will be easy to connect it to the population. You can say from our study, we can consider or conclude that the Australian financial firms are listed in ASICs, do this and highly perform when they adopt corporate governance regulations. All of them, they adopt corporate governance regulations, but there are some specific characteristics. Some of them avoided, for example. So we take sample rather than population, because sample is too easy to collect, and it will not cost us a lot of money and efforts. That's the difference between sample. I will give you some example about it. But don't remember that we're going to use X bar for sample, and we're going to use minimum for population, and lower n and upper n for sample and population. That is the formula. I think you need to remember, because you can put every single, we have heaps of formulas. The most important, this is a very easy, directly summation of xi divided by n. That's it. Summation of xi divided by n, you can find the mean. But as I told you, during the mid-semester test, you have to have the scientific calculator that will help you to find all the measurement of central location and variability in mid-semester test. We'll just press one button. Put the values. I will give you maybe 10 values, maybe 10, 11. You just put these values and press one button, you will get the rest of. So you just tick for the right answer. If you do it manually, it will burn your time, and you just have 80 minutes for 3 questions. This is very easy, by the way. Probability will be a little bit, distribution of probability, estimation and stuff. Right? Will be easy. That's an example about the, So, how to find the mean? At the beginning of, do you remember when I said define your some parameters of interest? What does the parameter of interest in here? The mean, that means we have mean. Or the sample, that's another indication. Sample, mean, sample, 6 measurements. That means we have 6 observations. 7, 3, 9, minus 2, 4, and 6. That's 6. That's how to define the parameters of interest. Once you define this one, you understand the question. And then you can address any question. This isn't easy, but later we can have some stories. Half-page story about some cases, 3 or 4 firms, or 1 firm, for example, and we ask you some questions. You have to understand the question carefully. How? By defining the parameters of interest. Mean, sample, that means we're going to use X bar or mean mu. X bar. Done. 30 out of 30. Right? X bar. So that's it. Summation of this observation divided by 6. The number of the observation equal to 4.5. That's it. The second measurement, we're going to have the median. Now, before that, the median is one of the important measurements of central location, but it's very easy to calculate because you just order the data. We give you some sort of data. You order from smallest to highest, right? Or from highest to smallest, up to you. But more probably we use sorted from smallest to highest. If it's an odd number, we take the median, right? Because it's odd number. If it's an even number, what we have to do? Take the difference between the, right? Easy, right? Easy life. So if it's an even number, we're going to have the differences, the difference between the middle two numbers, 29, 30 divided by 2, will give us the median. Plus that, you have to sort the data before you calculate the mean or median or stuff. No need to sort it for median. But for median you have. The mood is also one of the important central location measurement that always statistician or accountants or finance they use it to report one case in the life cycle. For example, in here, a set of data that may smooth. That's the most frequent one. For example, you are working in a men's shop or a grocery shop or any sort of shops, for example, and you find that the most frequent product that sold daily is this sort of product, and you report that one to the manufacturer to provide you with extra amount of stuff. For example, you spend a lot of in here for the large out of seats example. I think we have in here. I think we have an example. Oh no, yeah. So that's more frequent one. For example, when you take an opinion about one product, for example, you have 5 different opinions, for example, and you see which one of these answers more frequent. Agree, for example, or disagree, or as I told you, you work in a grocery shop or in other sort of shops, and you have to check which one of the items that more frequently sold. So to ask the manufacturer to provide you with extra amount of these sort of products, right? So the most frequent one. An example of this, yeah, that's a clear example. The counter of men's store observed that the waist size in centimeters of trousers sold yesterday, blah, 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 blah. So, and they ask you to check which one of these different sizes is the most frequently sold yesterday. So we have 77, 85, 90, 85, see? you can see that 85 is the most frequent size being sold in this shop, right? So you can say this one. See, that's the most frequent one. If you check among all of these numbers, you can find the 85 is the most frequent. That's the mood, how to measure the mood. It's very easy. That's an example of mood. So that's why we need statistics. So you can see we use it in different sort of reports. So an example in here, for the lecture, we have an example. That's how to report the descriptive statistics on Excel. Using Excel software. So an accountant or a lecturer, wants to report that the result of the semester test, for example, taken by 100 students, find the mean, median. So when you use software to report the, because you have the name of the students and their grades or marks, right? So when you want to report it to the management or to your boss, so you have to report it in this way. So you say the mean of my students, the average mean of my students, or the average grade of my students will be 73. What does it mean by the average? That means most of my students, half of my students and above, they got 73 out of 100, and the rest of them got less than. The median in here also, so you can see that the mean and median and mood, it's almost close to each other, but the median and mood, it has to be close because you want report that the median of the students get 81, and the mood that the most frequent grade for all students is 84. Most of the students got 84. The most frequent one, 84, right? That means half of my students got 84 grade. That is the, later I will have, we will have a case study on Excel, and I will show you how to report the descriptive statistics using the Excel software, and how to report it using histogram, for example, to see whether the data is symmetrically distributed or not. Right? So I will show it to you. So that's the mean. See, I provide information about overall performance of the students. It can serve as a tool of marking comparison. And the median, as I said to you, indicates the half of classes receive grade 81, and half of them less than 81, above and below. The mood, they said that the most frequent of each grade can be calculated or equal to be 84. So when we talk about the histogram in Excel, by the way, this is the material of your final exam, of your business report, sorry. Business report. Please, I want you to highlight some important points here, because it's the material of your business report. When we're reporting using the data using the descriptive statistics, we're going to have a table. But sometimes you have to report your data using histogram, the pie chart, for example, right? This step will give you a story about the symmetrical of your data, the attitude of your data, the direction of your data, that your data is symmetrically distributed or not. Let me give you one example. If it's symmetrically distributed, the data will take which shape? Bell shape, right? Because it's symmetrically distributed. That means the mean in here, the median will be in here, and the mood will be in here. But most probably we just use the mean. If it's symmetrically distributed, don't forget it. Bell shape directly will be more clear for you guys. Symmetrically distributed, the mean will be middle of the data. If it's less symmetrically, we'll take which shape? Mound shape. The data spread more around the mean. That means a little bit risky. That means standard deviation is a bit high. We will take some example and we'll talk about standard deviation later. But if it's symmetrically distributed, we'll take bell shape. If it's not symmetrically distributed, we'll take one of two types of histograms. And here in our example here, because the data is not symmetrically distributed, I will take, it will squid on the left-hand side. Why? Because it's lack of symmetry. Lack of symmetry. I will take this shape, long tail on the left-hand side. We call it negatively squid to the, on the left-hand side. See? Long tail on the left-hand side. See? Another option, it will take the positive squid on the right-hand side. From left to right. We call it positive squid on the right-hand side. That means, is it symmetrically distributed or not? If it's take squid to the left or to the right. Right? This is one of the questions of your business report. You have to run. How to run? Using Excel. How to use Excel? I will show you. And I will give you an example. And how to decide whether this one. Yeah, we have to decide that. If it's take bell shape, so it has to be taking this shape. If it's bell shape, the data have to take this one. If it's that one, symmetrically distributed. If it's squid to the left, this one. Right, it will take this long tail on the left-hand side. Positively squid, this is negatively, because left-hand side. Because later, when we talk about the left-hand side of the shape, maybe the mean will be in here, right? So that one is negative, that one is positive. So in here, this shape is negatively squid on the right, on the left, sorry. Sorry, is squid to the left, negatively. But positively, it will be on the right-hand side. So this is the material, one of the questions of yours. I will show you how to activate the data analysis on Excel, how to report the data, and I will give you an example on Excel. I already opened it. But let me just finish the right-hand side. It's a not good pen. Yes. Right? So when we talk about the symmetrically, if the data is symmetrically distributed, we talk about bell shape, right? That one. Symmetrically distributed. All right? Take a bell shape. The mean and median and mode close to each other. But if the data is squid, positively squid distribution or squid to the right, it's different. That one was on the left, right? That one was on the left, and that one squid to the right-hand side. So I will ask you in a business report to do this sort of distribution, and I want you to decide whether your data is symmetrically distributed or not, or distributed. I will show you, I want you to show me the distribution. Just do the stuff. I mean the histogram using Excel and copy it and put it on your business report. Right? So in here, distributed bell shape, and here is squid, not lack of distribution, we call it. Lack of distribution. 5 minutes rest or 10 minutes? How much you want? How many minutes you want? 10 minutes? 5. That's fine. 5 minutes rest, and we'll come back to finish the rest of our slides. Always 1 hour, right? There's my water. This one? An example. Sorry. I feel I have some throat problem. From the beginning. This is just maybe one class for all this stuff, and then come to the regression and hypothesis testing. All right, so just quick review about this sort of things, the distribution of data. We have the bell-shaped for distribution for symmetrically distributed data, and we have the positively squid on the right-hand side, the long tail in here, long tail on the right-hand side, so we call it positively squid to the right, and another case, as I told you, the negatively squid to the left-hand side because it's long tail in here, so we call it, so three types of data distribution, either bell shape or positively or negatively squid on the left or right-hand side. That is the distribution. If it's symmetrically distributed, bell shape. If it's not symmetrically distributed or lack of distribution, it will take one of the squid options to the left, or positive or negative distribution. So just quick review about some theoretical stuff. So as I said to you, we have three types of data. We have quantitative, numerical, which is the real numbers. So the best measurement of that one, central location, will be the mean, median, and mode. So always, when you read any accounting paper or just have a look about any professional report made by professional agencies, audited or accounting agencies, you will find that they use mean and median to report some cases for quantitative data, or for qualitative data. We have which is the nominal one. It has to be no order, as I said to you, yes or no. The example of this data, or male or female, married, single, or divorced. This sort of data we call it nominal or qualitative data. The mean is not valid. The mode sometimes, because we check about the frequency of each observation, is the appropriate one for the mode in here for qualitative data. And we have the last one, ranked or ordinal data with order. We always, the mean is not valid. We always use the median to check the central measurement of the ranked or ordinal data. Now we have, this is just, we was talking about the measurement of central location. Now we talk about the variability. We have a couple of measurement of variability, because the measurement of central location failed to tell us a whole story about the data. Is the data, if it's bell-shaped, that means the data is more distributed or symmetrically distributed, but we want to check the distance or the risk of behind this sort of data, for example. I will give you some examples to explain. Is not the center location, mean and median mode. It's failed to tell us the whole story about the data. The question of interest still remain unanswered. What is the measurement? What's the distance between? Because if we talk about, for example, standard deviation. Standard deviation is one of the measurement of, have we done some final units? Risk, exactly. So you want to check the risk. For example, you have two types of investment. You want to check an option, for example, to invest in A or B, two types of investment. You have some amount of money. So you want to check which one is less risky investment, for example, or which one is will give you high return, for example. So the one with high standard deviation will be high return because high risk, high return, right? So that's why we still need for variability, a measurement of variability, or measures of variability, which is the variance, standard deviation, and other sort of, right? So it will help us to see the whole story, or to read the whole story of the data. The first measurement, I think, for example, in here, this is a good example using the histogram shape. See, low variability data set. That means low risk, because the data less spread around the mean. That is the mean in here. That is the mean, right? So the data is less spread around the mean, less risky, right? The average previous good representative of the value of the data set. But in here, see, high variability of data set. So the data more spread out around the mean. It's a high variability, more spread around the mean. But here, less spread. The data give you a good story or a good observation about or representation about your data set. But here, in here, we need to measure the variability because it's high variability. How to measure variability? Using different types of measurements. So we have the range for the data set in here. The range, as you know, in accounting we not use it that much, but it's very easy to calculate, but still it don't give you the whole story about the data because it will depend on the difference between the largest and smallest measurement. High number alone detect the differences. Still, we need more valid measurements, right? The statistician, they see the highest value and lowest value and take the differences between them. That we call it the range. So if they squid to the left, negatively squid to the left, it will take the long tail on the to the positively squid, long tail on the right-hand side. Or if it's bell-shaped, it will be in the middle. Or if it's negatively squid on the right-hand side, that means it will take long tail on the left-hand side. That is the some explanations about the range and how to locate the distribution of data about it. But we have the unimportant one in here is the variance. As I told you, from now on, from the mean, average mean, we're going to have the population and sample. And for each of these concepts, we have to know that there are some differences in terms of the formula. You don't need to remember the formula, but you need to understand the formula and understand the differences between the population and sample. If you can see in here, for the population, we use, this is a Greek symbol, we call it, or Greek word, we call it sigma square, right? Sigma square for population. See the differences, sigma square for population, right? And we use mean mu. xi, x1 plus x2 plus x3, summation of xy in here, minus mean mu. Square deviation divided by uppercase n. That's for which? For population. But for sample, you can see we use lowercase s, not sigma square, and we use x bar. See the link between mean and variance? We use x bar in here, we have to use x bar here. We use mean mu, we use mean mu in the population of some mean population, right? But we're not going to use the n as a number of observations. The n is the number of observations. We're going to use n minus 1 because we're going to lose 1 degree of freedom. That's chapter 10 later. But just remember it. If you have 9 observations, you have to say 9 minus 1. That means you have to divide it by 8. Right? Clear? That's the differences. Easy. No need to remember the formula. We need to understand it. Square deviation divided by n minus 1 for sample. Because we're going to review the 1 degree of freedom. The second measurement of variability, or the most important one, this is always used in accounting and always used in accounting and finance. It's very easy to measure it, but you have to understand the formula of variance to measure standard deviation. Because standard deviation, sample standard deviation equal to s, small s, which equal to square root of variance, right? And for population, very easy. Use square root of sigma squared, right? Also, when you buy or when you borrow or buy second-hand or new scientific calculator, there is a button of the square root. Just write square root and put the value, press, it will give you the values directly. But in software, in Excel, we use the Excel to report because we have heaps of data, 1,000 observations, years, and firms, right? I have 150 firms for 20 years. I will equal to 7,000, 8,000 observations. It's too difficult to use the scientific calculator. We use Excel sheet. We'll report it like this directly. We'll give you a whole story about the data, right? So an example in here, we're going to have, you are as an investor, you have some amount of money, I want to invest, so, and you have some data. That's why it's very important to report the data. And you will see the return of this two firms, for example, of two types of investment firms or any type of companies. So they report you 10 years return, right? A rate of return for 10 years, right? From 1 to 10. You are as an investor, 1, 2, 3 to 10. You are an investor, you have to check which one is high return, which one is high risk investment, which one, what's the mean and mode and standard deviation for. So what you're going to use, because it's a real numbers, which sort of measurements you're going to use? Central location measurements. And which sort of variability you're going to use? descriptive statistics, yeah, standard deviation means to read, to see the story. Which one is highly risky? Because the question asks, which one is higher level of risk? So we're going to use standard deviation because there's a risk of measurements. Even in academic life, when we are going to test the risk of firms, we use the standard deviation of ROA, return on assets. A return of equity, standard deviation of return on equity. Sometimes you're going to use leverage because leverage is the level, the risk or level of risk of borrowing money from the capital providers, right? If the leverage more than the total assets that you have, that means you are under risk. This is accounting concepts. Because we want to link the statistics to accounting. That's why it's very important to understand the steps and concepts. Right? You can't borrow more than you say. Your total assets, because we measure firm size by natural logarithm. Again, we come back to the statistics. We measure the firm size by the natural logarithm of total assets. That means total assets is the size of the firm. Right? When we're going to measure the leverage, total debt divided by total assets. Again, statistics, using mathematics. Then we compare whether you are within the average of your size or less or above. If it's above, that means you're under risk because you borrow more than your size. Right? That's some concepts, accounting concepts to link it to the statistics. So we use standard deviation of ROA, ROE, return on assets. Right? So I don't want to, because sometimes, because you are accountants, sometimes we just go deep in accounting. But it's good for you guys to understand, because it's from the real cases from the life, from the scandals, from the firm, transactions and stuff. Some important terminologies for you guys, because some of you, I think the background is not accounting, so but if you know the terminologies, it will extend your knowledge in accounting and in finance. So the solution, because they ask the level of risk, so they explain here how to do it. I will do it for you guys. Data analysis, add and options. So that's using Excel. We check and compare trust A and trust B. We found that trust A is less risky or more risky. Huh? Right? Trust A is riskier than the trust B. Right? So in here, and size the amount of standard deviation of risk, trust A bigger than, so that means trust A should be considered as a riskier because standard deviation is larger. Right? Clear, guys? You have some question about it? So the steps, I will show you how to do it. Because later we're going to have a comprehensive question. I will show you how to download or to activate the data analysis on your Excel. I will give you, you have to note down the steps on how to. That's the interpretation of how to report the risk and stuff. So standard deviation can be used to compare variability, make statement about the general shape of distribution. How? We have empirical rule. What does mean by empirical rule? Bell shape, exactly. When we find any some sort of statements that talk about empirical rule, that means your data is take bill or your data, right, represent as a bell shape, right? Distribution. Bell shape distribution. Empirical rule. Same. Right? empirical rule. It's not good pill. Not good bell shape. I'll give it to you like this. Right? So we have 3 cases in here. X bar minus S. X bar is mean, right? How about S? Standard deviation, right? But it's negative. That means that is the mean. Let's take bell shape. It is better to be, but I want the camera to record this shape. We'll make it smaller than this. We have 3 cases. X bar minus S left. That means it's not good, right? I'll try to explain it to you on the other side of the small. That's a bell shape, right? The mean, because it's empirical rule, will be in here, X bar, right? I'll use another pen. That's the bell shape. The mean is because it takes a lot of calculation to do it. The mean will be in the middle, right? In here. Okay. We have X bar minus S, right? That means X bar minus S. We have another option contains approximate 68, right? So X bar plus S. X bar plus S. That means the area in here represent or approximately equal to 68%. This one in here. Well, let me make it in red. Yeah. This one in here will equal to 60%. But we need to check the value of X bar minus S and X bar plus S. Let's go to the, flip your question. This is the example. The mean equal to, how much? 10. This one is 10. X bar, right? The mean. So standard deviation of the equal to 8%, right? Go to, keep this page in front of you, and let me go back a bit to check the conditions. So X bar minus S, this one, means 10 minus standard deviation, 8, right? Equal to 2, right? For the negative contained in here, right? This one. So how about this one? X bar plus S. We have 10 plus 8 equal to 18. If you see the interpretation, right? 18. Check the interpretation in here. That's a approximate of 68 will allocate or lie between 10, which is 2, this one, and 18%. 2 and 18, that one. Same for the second requirement in here. X bar minus 2S, because the area will be 95% significant. So in here, we're going to have a little bit spread more because it will represent 95% significant. So in here, we're going to have, and here, we're going to have x bar minus 2s, right? And here, x bar minus plus 2s, sorry. So in here, 10 plus 2 times 8 equal to 26. How about this one? 10 plus 2 times 8.
Should be minus.
This one should be in minus, right?
No, 10 minus 2.
10. Sorry. Yeah. Minus 26, right? Check the values.
Minus 6.
Just to check it carefully, because that's the number is recorded. It will be
Minus 6.
minus 6, right? Minus 6, yeah. You said 26.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Minus 6. And the other value in here, 10? 26. Right? So this area in here will equal to, right? So how about the third step? X bar minus 3s, same. It will be in here. Or in here, sorry. It will be 79 plus something like that. 99 plus it will be in here. So let me explain it in here. The black one. So that one is x bar minus 3s equal to 10 minus 3 times 8. And that one in here will equal to x bar plus 3s will equal to 10 plus 3 times 8. 34. Okay. And here it will equal to minus 14. Right? So check the solution in your slides. If it's all right, okay. Right? Between minus 14 and, do you know how to get these numbers, calculations? Good. It's a big, but step by step. Start with that one, the smallest one, then the biggest one, and then the biggest. So the area will equal in here, will equal to 99.7, right? 0.7. Yeah, 0.7. Perfect. You have a question about it? Clear? Good. That's what we said empirical rule. That's the steps. So we're going to have an example from this one is a very important step. I want you to note down all the stuff that I will, our notes that I will. Normally, we use Excel to address or to calculate or to report the descriptive statistics, histogram. Later, we're going to use it to report ANOVA, single measurement, single factor, two-factor, regression, right? Because that's the main models or topics of your unit. So it's very important to understand the first step. We're going to have an example. If you buy the books, they will give you CD or they give you username and password. You can log in and download them all Excel or data sheets for this unit, for all chapters. And here we have an example from chapter 5, XM510. So they provide us with the duration of 30 long distance telephone calls, shown in the table. Shall we open the Excel sheet? Because it's very important to show you how to activate the data analysis. Because if you download the Excel sheet on your computer, on your PC, still that analysis is not activated. You have to activate it manually. How to activate it? I'll show you. Please note down the steps, because it's part of your business report and part of your final exam material. So this is the data we have. Same. So make it bigger. So we're going to have the duration in a minute. The first step, when you want to address some sort of questions or you want to report the histogram. Why we report histogram? To see distribution of the data, exactly. How we're going to use Excel? The first step, you have to activate the data analysis. Well, data analysis. How to activate it? Go to data. It has to be in here. See, it has to be in here. Data analysis has to be an option here. But because this computer, they didn't activate the data analysis because no one uses it to do calculations, so we're going to activate it. How to activate it? Go to File first. If some of you guys have computer, you can follow up with me. File, that's the first step. File. Right? And then choose Options. Please note down this one if you like. Options. And then Add. Add. Instructions in here. That's the third step. And then this option. Go. You're going to have this box. You're going to tick on this one. File, Options, Add, Announcements, then go from the down one. You want me to repeat it? See, File, Options, Add, double click, and then go. Then tick the first box, and then OK. Data analysis, exactly. Same location, right? So now we have data analysis. Shows in here, see? Now, from this step, you're going to use the all function of Excel to do descriptive statistics, report the data distribution, histogram, ANOVA, regression, any type of calculation from this option, data analysis. Right? This will stay with us till end of July. Right? Maybe with me till the end of the life. So, the most important step before you do any regression or now we are going to use this data to report the histogram. What you have to do? You have to change the direction of the data from row to column, right? So see, the first one is 18.8, right? So you have to change all of these rows into column. I already changed it. Because if you buy the new book and you download the data set, go to chapter 5, case study 5.10, you could find the data in this shape, in row. So we have to do, change it to. So the first one is 18, put it here. Blah, 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 18.5. See, now jump to this one. See? row. After you shape the data in row, so what you have to do?
Check for version. Check for version.
No, there is one step before. Check what bill shape is the histogram. You have to sort the data from smallest to highest, right? From which option? You don't know. This is a basic, my friend. It's a basic things. You go here, file, or no file, sorry, home, and here, there is sort by A to Z. But what you have to do before that, you have to highlight it. I think I already copied it to this page. Yeah. Highlight it, or just highlight the stuff in here. And then go to sort, smallest to highest. So it's been sorted. Why they sorted the lowest to highest? Because when you want to report any data using histogram, you have to have something called bin. What's the bin? Because you just have one column, right, of raw data. You have to put some bins equal to the smallest value and highest value. How to make it? Very easy. What's the smallest value in here? 2.3. That means we have to start from 0, right? Because from 0. I'll show it to you. Bin, right? So 0. Because when you go in here, let me just finish it. 0. Start from 2 again, because we don't have 1, 2. It has to be equally likely to be same. So 2, 4. So the highest value will have 19.5, right? So that means the highest bin will have 20, exactly. Statistician. 20. This one, 20 in here, right? So we're going to have this, create the bin. Now, go to data analysis, and see a lot of options in here. We're going to have single factor, ANOVA, two factor, without replication, correlation, covariance, descriptive statistics, and histogram, right? Click on histogram, say OK. So we're going to have input, the range, right? See, the range means the data you have, the range, and the bin, the second one, right? The bin that you create to cover your data, because it will be in histogram shape. So we'll see the because it will allocate the columns of the data, and you will see them to identify the mean of the data, and you to decide whether your data is bell shape or take the shape on left hand side or right hand side. Right? The steps is clear till now? Easy, right? So, input the range directly, like this. Cover all. Include even the title. And then the bin, and then labels, output range. You just click here, because we want to put it in F5, for example. You write F5 or click here, up to you. But first, click on input output and put the mouse in here and click it. Then chart output, right? Because we want to see the histogram to decide whether it takes bell shape or stuff. So the data, the histogram options give us this option, right? From the question, they said the mean equal to 10 point something, right? They said like that. Check the question.
in your notes. Silence. Next page. So if you, yes.
So what's the bin range? What exactly is the bin range?
The bin range you have to create it by yourself. There is no range. It depends on the data I mean, the shape of the data. For example, the highest equal to 25.6. So that means the highest bin it has to be equal to 26, for example, because the lowest is 25 point, little bit bigger, right? And a little bit smaller than the lowest, because you have, right? We start from 0. You can see in here, let me just explain it in here. See, guys, because we don't have data less than 2 point something, so we don't have any column between 0 and 2. But there is very important steps. By the way, this is one of the questions in your business report. Exactly same. Exactly. I put a question already. Exactly, you have one question of this. This is step you have to. But what you have to do, because there is gaps between columns, there is one step you have to do. Right click on the columns in here. Right click here, put the mouse in here. Right click and go format data series. Please note it down. Because I will give you 0 in the business report if you're not dropping or reduce the gaps between the columns. Format data series. And then gap width, the default equal to 150. You have to drop it to 0 or reduce it to 0. Just here, or yes, put 0 in here. See, no gaps between columns. And the data become more clear. Start 2.3 in here, right? No data between 0 because the lowest is 2.3. See? So now, in the question, they said 10.26, the mean. Next page, the mean. The mean equal to 10.26, right? 2 years teaching this unit. 10 point, so the mean in here. So if you say like that, so equal to bell shape, right? So the data is symmetrically distributed. Activate the data, add the instructions, then put the bin, sort the data, and then use histogram. We'll allocate good amount of marks in business report. In the mid-semester test, I think this one, there is some definitions about empirical rules. Please note down these important points. Up to you. Anyway, so it takes the bell shape. But very important step to reduce or make the 0 width of gaps. Alright? Clear? Anyone have a question about this? Hmm?
Do that without sorting the data?
Huh?
So you can still create the histogram without sorting the data.
No, I saw the data.
You have to sort the data.
Yeah. Because when you saw the data, you can decide the range of bin. Right? Because that's the software techniques. Right? You have to sort it with the when you calculate the median, whether you have odd number or to decide or even number. If it's odd number, just take the middle, and if it's even number, you take the difference between. Yeah, but you have to sort it. But just with the mean, average mean, you don't need to sort it because you have to calculate using the formula, whether it's sample X bar or mean is population. Great. happy with the statistics till now? Okay.
Sorry. Let's see, so now that's the solution. Just they make it in this shape, but it's exactly what we have. So that's bell shape, they said. So by the empirical rule, approximately 95, but that's the explanations, 95. Because they apply empirical rule, the empirical X1, so they calculate, they find 95 of the data are highly significant. 95, approximately 95 of the area represented by the bell shape in here. I think this will help us also, this sort of empirical rule stuff will help us in when we are going to study the hypothesis testing, because you're going to have different shapes of histogram, and then that's why it's important in the business report when we are testing the hypothesis, because we're going to generate the hypothesis, and we're going to reject one of these hypotheses based on the represented of the data in here, because this one they call it a non-rejection area, and this one is they call it, this is a model 5. We're going to explain it in details for you guys. Sorry, in here, when we are going to calculate the approximate standard deviation, because we don't know the standard deviation exactly, we're going to have, for this 95%, we're going to use the formula equal to the standard deviation equal to range, the range between inside the box in here, divided by 4. So the range equal to 19.5 minus 2.3 equal to 17 minus. That is the approximate standard deviation. Work it out in your own time and see how to get this one. And it will be, because we already provide you with the mean and average standard deviation. So the approximate will equal to 4.3 minutes per minutes. The coefficient of variance, again in here, we're going to have the system measurement of the standard deviation by the mean. So again, we have the sample, and we have the population. For the sample, we use small s, which equal to standard deviation, sample standard deviation, divided by sample mean. And for population, we're going to have sigma divided by mean mu. That is the coefficient of variance, one of the measurements that is to check the variation of the data. So this coefficient provides proportionate measurement of variation, and a standard deviation of 10 perceived as large when the mean value of 10. This is just explanations. Moderately large when the mean is equal to 500. The proportion. So the measurement of variability for ordinal and nominal data, because that one was for numerical data or quantitative. So let's see the variability. So the descriptive statistics or histogram, or the variance and standard deviation is the measurement of numerical or quantitative, but to describe the variability of ordinal or rank data, quartiles, percentiles, the next sections will cover it. No measurement variability for nominal or qualitative data, because this is a primary study. So there is no heaps of data to see the
variability between the data, whether it's time series or panel.
So relative standard, that's the last sections. That's the measurement of the ordinal data. So we're going to have percentiles, and we're going to have the quartiles. So this is not very not heavily used in accounting, but still sometimes we have to report it when we report the descriptive statistics. It's part of descriptive statistics. When we call percentiles, that means we have to divide our data into 10 percentiles or 9 percentiles. 10. So how much data you have, for example, divided by 10? So we're equal to 10%, 10, 20, 30, 40. That's called percentile. So in this example, if we gonna use quartiles, that means we have to divide our data into 3 quartiles. The first one, equal to 25%, 50, 75, right? That's a quartile. Percentiles is 10, 10, 10. Quartiles, 25, 25, 50, 25, like this. So we're going to have some exercises. So suppose 77 of 68 percentiles of the statistics exam score then 68. So 68 of these lie between 0 to 77. And 32 of these scores lies between 77 and 100. That is the percentiles. See? They're located into different percentiles. Right? So commonly used in statistics, even in academic, when you report your data, so you have to divide your percentiles into 10. The first percentile is equal to 10 decile, and the first decile or lowest decile equal to 10 percentile, and the highest or upper decile equal to 90 percentiles. Mid of this equal to quartiles. By the way, it's always same, but just different in names. It's always same. So first quartile equal to 25 percentiles, right? So the second equal to 50, and the third equal to 75 percentiles. So that's when we calculate the percentiles or quartiles, we have to identify the location using this formula. I think this formula is very important. You have to report it or note it down in the worksheet that we will bring it to with you in the exam, to the exam venue. The location of percentiles equal to n minus plus 1 times percentiles equal divided by 100. You have to remember that one. So an example in here, calculate 25th, 50 and 75 percentiles from this sort of data. They give us data, and you have to, they ask to report the 3 types of percentiles. How to do that? What you have to do, this is the values they give it to us, right, in the question? Right? Okay. First step, you have to sort it from smallest to highest. This is the values. Right? What you have to do, because we're talking about the locations of percentiles. That means we have to check the locations. That means we have to create location 1, location 1, right? For value number 1. Location 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 locations. Right? You have the formula? So when you report the first location, you can say 25. So that means it will be between location 2 and location 3, because it's 2.75. So it will be in here. Sorry, this is 3 and 4 in here. Because I don't look to the solution. Right? That's for the first percentile of process, right? See? They give the value and location, location 1, location 2, location 3, till 10. So for the next one, we're going to have 5.5. That's the formula. We're going to have 5.5, right? So that means it will allocate between 8 and 9. Okay. Between 8 and 9 in here. That is the location of second percentile. Okay? That one. See? Equal to 50. Location. Right? Well, equal between location 5 and location 6. So the third one equal to, apply the formula, equal to 8.25, right? So if you go back, check 8 point, it will be in here. It will be in here, right? So see? So between 14 and 22, right? 14 and 22. 8 and 9. Right? So that's how to calculate location. Apply the formula and then decide between which location and just put the arrow between that one. So the 75 percentile is one of the quarter of the distance between the highest and lowest values. That means 22, see? Minus 14 equal to 16. That's some explanations. The highest and lowest. So the quartiles, see, you can see in here still we can use the quartiles and variability to see the distribution of our data. Here is less symmetrical. Squid on the left negatively. This one is negative. Squid on the left hand side, and this one positively squid. Because it's long tail on the right hand side, and that one long tail on the left hand side. So negative and positively squid on the right hand side. Right? So we can divide that the quarter one 25% and 50% for quarter 2 and 75 for quarter 3, positively squid histogram, and the other one is negatively squid histogram. But normally, we're not going to use in business report, for example, quartiles and percentiles. We just use the normal histogram. We have the data, and we give a bin. After we sort the data, we give the bin, and then click histogram, put the range of the raw data and the range of bin, tick labels, and then check, put the output range in which place you want to put it in your Excel sheet or within the same page, and then tick the chart down, and then see the result. After that, reduce the gaps and copy and paste it in your business report. Don't forget steps. So interquartiles equal, when we calculate the interquartiles, because this is one of the measurement of spread of the middle of 50 observation, a large value minus lowest value, because we talk about range. Do you remember the range before? Highest minus lowest. Here is the same. Interquartiles range in here, quartile range equal to highest quartile minus lowest quartiles. That one in here, we're giving us the box to check the highest one and the smallest value and highest value. So an adjustment of that. So that's the question. I think we have an exercise. Yeah. The 3.2, you can just, I think this is the last things to do, a couple of pages. So they provide us with the smallest number. They ask to create the box plot in here for independent the income and then purchased from petrol station for the last 200 days, and they give us the smallest number quartiles for one and second quartiles and third quartiles, and the largest number. And they ask us to calculate the interquartiles to identify the box plot in here. So you put the lowest and highest, and then you can report that one. The 20, you're going to have the lowest, the little rectangle in here, that one will be, and when we calculate the interquartiles equal to 440, which comes from 530, I think minus 90. That's from the calculations in here, which is 1.5. Sorry, 1.5. 530 minus 90, which comes from 1.5 times 60 interquartiles equal to 440. Same for this one, 680 equal to 530 plus 60, the interquartiles, because the largest, right? Because we are going to identify the fences of the data in here, and also to check the box plot in here and identify the lowest and highest quartiles. Usually a large or small sample in the sample are 700, and it's easy. It's not that much important, but it's need to understand it. Maybe in the mid-semester test, you have some, maybe. That's it, no more information. Temporal and box plot, that's some explanations about the values that we calculate in terms of days and the highest and lowest, and the outcomes, number of outcomes lie between this range and this range. That's why we talk about the quartiles. We talk about the range of the data lie between this one to identify the fences of our data. This is the last box plot. So we can say that our data is highly symmetrical because of the distribution equally likely to be both shaped. Right? Highly symmetrical. Or very symmetrical. Thank you very much. That's all for today. You have any question? By the way, I think heaps of slides, but the main important thing is the central location measurements, mean, median, and mode, and the variability, measurement of variability, variance,
standard deviation, and so other things. That's the main things. But and the distribution of the data also very important. Please, as I said to you, if you have any question or any you need some special consideration, please send me an email or come during consultation hours. I have 2 hours from 9 to 12, from 9:30 to 11:30, or from 9 to 11. I think 2 hours on Thursday morning. Check the website, and from 1:30 to 3:30 on Friday. Otherwise, if you have special requirements, please send me an email or call me on the phone. So also for the online students, because that will be recorded. Also, if they need any consultation, please they can attend the Zoom consultation, or they can call me or send me an email. I'll be very happy to answer you guys as soon as I can. Any question about statistics? First model of statistics? No? So see you next week. Please feel free to attend any of these 2 classes, right? Tuesday or Thursday. Thank you.
So this one I got from the last year lecture, and over here this one says the variant, find the mean and the variance for the following sample.
Yeah.
So this one you got like values in decimals, and you got a shortcut formula here,
Yeah. I think that one we changed it already.
but I couldn't find it with this year's.
I think because we changed the material a little bit. This depends on this one.
Yeah, but the shortcut formula works for sample. I want to know,
Yeah.
do you think this could work for the population as well, or is it just for sample?
No, if it's sample, we have X bar.
Now, if this is like the shortcut formula,
This is the standard deviation. This is
this
variance.
is the regular formula, and then you got the shortcut here.
Yeah, it's
Just
up to
like
you.
screen
Yeah, you can use anyone. Up to you.
Now, can
But
we use the same
the-
for population? as well?
Up to as much as I can. No, the formula is population is different than formula, because with population we use upper n
Yeah, yeah.
with variance, but with sample we're gonna use n minus 1. Remember that, because you're gonna lose 1 degree of freedom.
Yep.
See, n minus 1. See,
So what about for?
but this one is better. Concentrate on this one. Drop this one, very complex.
Yep.
Check this one.
This is the
Easy.
normal formula.
Yeah, this is a normal one. So just
So
drop
but
that one.
what if it's going to be in decimals and if you want to find for the population?
No, I'm not going to. I mean,
It's going to be like complex.
very complex for students, and I'm not going to. Make it too much complex.
Yep.
Very easy, and just use the normal formula.
Okay.
1 minus n minus 1, which is they say for variance.
All right.
And the variance, just take, if you calculate the standard deviation, just take the square root of the sample or population. Easy.
All right. Thanks, bro.
No worries. Yes, guys, come.
Excuse
Come, you need something?
No, I was just listening.
Ah, okay.
For the next seminar, at the third hour, we will have some tutorial questions of these, yeah?
Yeah,
For the-
for the descriptive statistics for today.
No, I mean,
The next week,
next week,
we're gonna have,
we will prepare these questions. Or
yeah,
No.
also related to our seminar today. Will be next week tutorial question. Today
Okay.
we study which one? We study.
module 1,
We study.
chapter 5. At the end of chapter
No,
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. And the examples all belong to chapter 5,
Let me just
as you
switch
can
off
see here.
this stuff.
Thanks, man. See you next week.
No worries, thank you.
See you, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have we're gonna have next week. We're gonna have a tutorial question about what we've done today.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, okay.
Don't worry about
Mm.
this explanation. It will.
Okay.
So we're gonna have maybe 2 tutorial questions.
Mm.
We have the first hour to address these questions,
Oh, okay.
and the second 2 hours
We'll
a
go to
new
the new.
new model.
That's great.
Probable.
And they are available in Blackboard.
It will be available. I think it will be already available on Blackboard, but the solution will release on Blackboard next Friday.
That's
Or
correct.
tomorrow morning, for example.
That's correct. Thank you
Right?
so much.
No
Yeah.
worries.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir.
No worries. See ya. No worries. How how's it going? I think I've just finished my class. It was video recording. I was recorded very well. Everything is going well. But I just finished, and I want to. Do I still have half an hour from the time? But we've just finished. Do I need to? Pardon? Yeah, can I stop it in here? From here? It's 402 217. But I need to learn how to stop it. Can I just use, he said, because the computer is a bit far from me. There is a control screen, small one, on the right hand side, close to the logo. There is a monitoring stuff. My actor, yeah. Just stop, that's it. Oh, okay. Yeah, stop it from you for today, and next time I'll stop myself. If I finish a bit early. But today, it's first ones. So 402 217. Yes, exactly.